Well, God bless you one and all, and welcome back to the Bishop's Corner. And of course, my name is Bishop Dr. Herbert N. Scott, the Chief Prelate for Liberty Hall, Cathedral of Praise, right here in the heart of Brooklyn. And I will be your host for this evening. And we want to thank God also for the man of God himself, Philip Reed. He is the founder of PNBG. Man of God, we want to thank you for a job well done. We want to thank God also for the panel that we do have tonight. We thank God for the lovely Reverend Dr. Heather Francis that's with us on the panel. Let's make her feel welcome. And of course, we want to thank God for the apostle himself, Apostle Lucien Rojas. Man of God, always a pleasure indeed. Next, we're going all the way up north, my Lord, to Bishop Dr. Neville Wolliston that's weighing in tonight. Man of God, pleasure seeing you, young man. Then we are back in Brooklyn to Pastor Richard McKenzie Jr. Always a pleasure, young man. We especially honored tonight to have, I would say, a financial wizard that's with us tonight, William Bermudez. He is with us tonight and he will be weighing in. We have two special men that are financial wizards, I would call them, definitely. And we will be hearing from them momentarily. Well, our main topic this evening is the power of investing by making your money work for you. The power of investing by making your money work for you. And of course, we will definitely be hearing from Apostle Lucien Rojas and William Bermudez. Definitely, these will be our two main speakers, and all we'll be doing is just asking them questions. And one of the good things about it is that they do have the answers. Okay, now hear me. In these last days that we are living in, you've got to be willing to change your mindset. Make your money work for you instead of the other way around. Because of that, we've got to ask ourselves certain questions concerning investing in things like the stock market. Okay, what is the stock market? Why we should invest, and the dangers of not investing in the stock market. There are things like calculated risk, low risk versus high risk. What type of investment, conservative or aggressive? What can we invest in? IPO? What is an IPO? Pros and cons of IPO. We can invest in SMPs. What is an SMPs? Pros and cons of SMPs. Index. What is an index? What are the different types of index? ETFs. What are ETFs? The pros and the cons of ETFs. Penny stocks. What are penny stocks? The pros and the cons of penny stocks. Certainly, my friends, there is a lot to digest. So let's turn it over to the ones that does have the answer. Apostle Lucien Rojas and our William Bermudez. And at this time, we'll be asking the apostle to weigh on in. And as he is weighing on in, I'm going to ask him also to explain to us what these things mean. IPO, SMP, indexes, ETFs, penny stocks. These things are somewhat mind-boggling. But man of God, we know that you do have the answers. It's in your hands.
Well, thank you very much, Bishop Scott, and to the esteemed panel tonight. I really thank God for this panel and this platform. I've grown to really appreciate and develop a friendship and a team spirit with the members of this forum. Starting with Bishop Scott, like a big brother to me, and we have really bonded nicely. You know, I thank God for relationship. One person put it this way, they said a relationship is greater than accomplishment. And then Dr. Phil has such an open spirit, the one that produced this network, this platform. it is such a blessing. I wish more people could tune in, and so much content is being offered here. And Bishop Wolliston, we have become good friends, and I know we'll be doing things together and stuff like that. I really enjoy him. I see him to be a friend and a very kind person. Someone once said, when I was young, I admire clever people, but as I become older, I admire kind people. And kindness is one of the fruits of the Spirit, and I see this in him. Pastor Richard McKenzie, one of the youngest on the panel here, but we need young people to blend in with us, and we can learn a lot from him too. Sometime he just steal the show and make some powerful points, Pastor Richard. And what can I say about Dr. Heather? She is just a beautiful person. And I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but one of the most pleasant person you would ever want to meet. She is just the life of the party. We just thank God for you guys. And how I met William, I started a YouTube channel 3 months ago. It's entitled Financial Empowerment. And it was a challenge for me because I did not know how to upload a YouTube and how to edit and how to do a thumbnail and so forth and so forth. And I was really pressed, should I do this or not? But I wanted to add value and empower people. So I started this channel as a late bloomer, 60 years, 61 years old, and you starting a YouTube channel fighting up with these millennials? Hey, so guess what? I met somebody, the saying, you attract who you are. So one day I was looking through YouTube and I saw William. And William is around my age, and William has about the same amount, a little more subscribers than I do. And when time to subscribe, he took a page up and he said, subscribe to my channel. I said, that's my man. I could identify with him. You know what I mean? So we became friends and we sub each other. And he is just a gem. I learned from him. And so I'm in a zone tonight with this panel, such beautiful people that are on tonight. Now, may I say to all of us tonight, do you know that this month is Financial Literacy Month? February month was what? Black History Month. Last month, Women's Month. This month, Financial Literacy Month. Now watch this. A survey was done and it says 2/3 of Americans lack financial literacy. Isn't that something? The former Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan says the number one problem in today's generation and economy is the lack of financial literacy. And I like how Benjamin Franklin put it. He said an investment in knowledge pays the best dividend. So we want to bring awareness and challenge your mind and stir up your thinking in terms of finances. Too many people are struggling. For example, with credit cards, in 2018, it's probably more by now, Americans spent over $104 billion, and I'm not just here to give you statistics, but it's facts. They spent over $104 billion in late fees and credit card interest. That's not all. With overdraft, they spent last year $30 billion. You know what's an overdraft? And by the way, the bank are required to get your permission to charge you a late overdraft fee. So overdraft fee, let's say you have a bill for $25 and all the money you have in the bank is $22.99. For that $2.01, they will charge you $35. But you can decide not to enroll in that program. The bank is very slick. And I go back to the scriptures. The rich rule at the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. Poor people don't pay late fees. I mean, rich people don't pay late fees. Rich people don't pay overdraft fees. Who is doing that? Who is doing that? They said the average late fee per individual is about $250 a year. So we need to understand financial literacy. And I get it, kingdom people. We have done the deeper life. We have done the seminars. We have done the conferences. But I found out that there could be good, sincere, tongue-talking people, and their credit score can be 450. And let me tell you something. God is good, but listen, to survive, you need a good credit score. So financial literacy is critical. And how can we learn? We can learn by reading and by studying. look, I'm a late bloomer. I started individual stocks just about a year ago. And I learn every single day. You're never too old to learn and to grow. So tonight we want to get into that. And as Financial Literacy Month, let's learn to be wise in our spending. I haven't paid a late fee or an overdraft in years because I hate to give it to corporate America for no reason at all. And some people, and watch this. Let me say this to us, and we're going to continue. Let's say you have a balance of $5,000. People wake up, $5,000 in a credit card balance. And the current APR, the average interest rate, is 21.21%, which some of them are 28 and 29%. You pay the minimum on that card, making the minimum payment only, it will take you 30 years. And the interest rate, the interest that you pay on that 5,000, hear this, it will be $21,643.83. And what people do when they're struggling, oh, let me pay the minimum so I don't get late fee. But that's the biggest mistake you could ever make in paying off. Pay your debt. Elijah told the woman, pay your debt and do what? Live on the rest. So, and that's 21,000 is not including late fees. So do you see what corporate America does? You see the greed. The poor man is being squeezed. That's why the gap in income inequality, they say it is so divided. 26 of the richest people in the world, 26 of the richest, hear this, they own what the bottom half of the entire world owns, 3.8 billion people. Half the population of the world is owned by 26 men who could sit on a bus. Michael Bloomberg, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and the list goes on. You know, so tonight we want to bring awareness, and I'm going to rest here for now because I'll wait for more questions. But before I do that, let me say this. I think that the stock market, not because I'm passionate about it, and that's my opinion, is probably one of the best vehicles for someone to get into investing. And I can give you a scripture down there where Jesus spoke profound and powerful about investing. Jesus himself, not a prophet. Because hear what? To be honest with you, to start a business, you need a capital. And in the first year, 10% fail. In the second year, 20% fail, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And in 5 years, half the people fail in business. What about if you want to get into real estate? You need a down payment and a closing cost. The average house in New York is about $700,000. You need 10%. Let's say you get a Fannie Mae, let's say you get a FHA loan, you need at least 5% plus the closing cost. What about the monthly payment? It's crazy. People are leaving for New Jersey and for Pennsylvania and for Connecticut. But watch this. The stock market, and again too, hear me, people of color, they could discriminate with housing and jobs, but once you're 18 years old, nobody can stop you from investing in the stock market. They cannot say you Hispanic, you can buy stock. You black, you can buy stock. You a woman, you can buy stock. You gay, you can buy stock. You're a foreigner, you can buy stock. Anybody can invest in the stock market. That's what I love about it. And you can invest with what? $100, $20. Now that's hard to start a business or buy a house with $20, but in the stock market, you can do so. And the stock market have a record, a history, a trend, indicators. You could be a wise investor. And I promise you, if I knew what I knew back then, I would have been a millionaire already. Thank you, Bishop Scott. I could say more, but let's get to the panel and the questions. Thank you. Unmute, Bishop.
At this time, we'll be asking William to please weigh in.
Unmute, William. Unmute.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I think the main danger of not investing in the stock market is that you're going to be left behind. You're not going to have the compounding effect of of your money working for you, as Apostle Rojas has been saying. I think over 50% of Americans distrust the stock market. They think that the markets are rigged against the little guys, and that's completely untrue. The market is fair to anybody that buys and sells, and the most important thing is to invest on a regular basis, on a monthly basis, preferably, and start early so that you have the time for your money to compound. And certainly there is a struggle to find the money to invest because it comes from savings. The difference between your income and your living expenses. And as Apostle Rojas says, if you put your finances in order and you reduce your late fees and your credit card interest, then you can find the money perhaps to put $50 a month, $100 a month. I haven't paid, I have 3 credit cards and I use them every day. But I pay the balance in full at the end of the month. So I don't pay late fees and I don't pay interest either. I use their money during the month, and at the end of the month I just pay it, and it's a payment method, and they like it because they charge the merchants their fees. You know, they get their money. The credit card company makes their money. I get the convenience of not having to carry cash around and not paying any interest. So when you find the money to invest, let me tell you, it's very, an example is very powerful in showing how much your money could grow. If you put, for example, $170 every month into the S&P 500 index, in 1 year, you would invest about $2,000. And over 50 years, $2,000 every year over 50 years is 2 times 50. It's $100,000 that you would have invested. Now, the stock market has been going up as measured by the S&P 500 index by 10% per year on average over the last 50 years. So if you had done this 50 years ago, today you would have $2.9 million. You only invested 100,000, but the growth, the compounding, the interest, the return over the return, it grows exponentially, and it accumulated mathematically. You can calculate it. It's $2.9 million. So of that 2.9 million, 100,000 is investing, and 2.8 million is growth, is income that you would not have earned if you didn't invest in the market. So that's a danger. The danger is being left behind and not participating in the economy of our country.
Okay, William, thank you very, very much, sir, for that explanation. Okay, now let's start from scratch, because we have a number of people that have weighed in, and a lot of them may not have heard what we went through in the past, last week and the week before. So question, and I'm putting this naturally to the Apostle and also to William. The stock market, what really is the stock market? Now, you said also that there are different things that we can invest in. We can invest in things like IPO. What is an IPO? What does it really mean? We can invest. I think William just mentioned S&P. What is an S&P? Okay. Also, Apostle loved to mention this word index. What is an index? And also he loves to mention ETFs. Does it mean eat the food or something else? Okay, what does it really mean? Okay, and then we've got the words penny stock. Does it deal with pennies or nickels? What are these things we can invest in, and what really is the stock market? Man of God, please break it down for us. Apostle?
Yes, thank you, Bishop Scott. I will answer a couple and I will left some for William. William is very seasoned. Now, I write down something here. The stock market is where investors connect to buy and sell investments, most commonly stocks, which are shares of ownership in a public company. All right. In the United States, the S&P 500, which is Standard and Poor, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and the NASDAQ Composite are the three most broadly followed indexes, both by the media and investors. Now, what happened? All right, like Dr. Phil has what we call PNN. Let's say Dr. Phil raised some money and decide to go public with his company. You could be, right now he's private. If he wants to go public, then he makes it into an IPO. And I wouldn't go into what's the criteria and this and that. And I want to talk in layman's terms tonight so everybody leave here could understand what we're saying.
Yes.
So let's say PNN goes public. All right, I will buy before I go public. I'm an insider. I will put $10,000. Do you know when Mark Zuckerberg did Facebook and Elon Musk did Tesla and Jeff Bezos did Amazon and Gates did Microsoft? They were not the only millionaires and billionaires. People that started with them and invested became millionaires overnight and billionaires. So now you make that company public. It's called an IPO, initial public offering. So the common man, and that's why I say the stock market don't discriminate. A woman, a lesbian, gays, sorry, I shouldn't, well, gays, I could say gays. Blacks, coloreds, white, women, foreigners, if you have an accent, you could buy stocks once you're 18. They cannot say you Hispanic or you not from here. The stock market is so open, but you find discrimination among jobs or housing. You know, they try to blackball you, raise your interest, all of that. The stock market, anybody can buy. So once it goes public now, I decide, let's say Apple goes public, I decide to buy some shares in Apple. I become a part owner. So when I use my iPad, I own a teeny little bit of Apple. Now, what happens to when you own that? When the company grows, your share grows. And there are some companies that are growth companies, they don't pay what we call a dividend. And there are some companies that pays a dividend. In other words, they share the profit. So every 3 months, they give you a certain amount. Like, let's say, for example, AT&T pays about 7% annually. Are you kidding me? What does the bank pay? 0.5%? So that's amazing. So now I'm getting paid every 3 months from AT&T. I am heavily invested in AT&T. I get about $400 or $500 a year from AT&T. That $400 or $500 is going back to buy shares, and that interest is being compounded. You see the power of investing? So that's an IPO, and that's what the stock market is. The main indexes are the Standard and Poor, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and the NASDAQ. And every country got their stock market. Not every country, but countries that are not third world, like richer countries, like Germany got the DAX, United Kingdom got the FTSE, and so forth and so on. The France got the CAC, and we don't mean to complicate it, but this is the stock market. So William, you could, anybody could invest. And the thing about it, let me just say this quickly. You could invest, let's say, for example, the S&P right now is going for, I think, $408 a share.
Mm.
You say, I cannot afford $408, Apostle Rojas. You could take $100 and buy a quarter of a share. And the S&P pays you a dividend of 1.44, almost 1.5%. So if you have 1,000 shares in the S&P, they give you 6,000 every year. That's the power. And that same 6,000 is invested again. I mean, there's no legit reason why someone should not be invested in the stock market.
Okay.
William.
Sounds good.
Yes. Apostle made a beautiful dissertation on these things. I'll just give you a little bit of historical background. the Dow Jones Industrial Average was probably one of the first index that came about, and it was invented by a newspaper publisher that wanted to talk about the stock market, because it was difficult to grasp, if it was going up or if it was going down, because some stocks were going up, some stocks were going down. So he came up with the idea of picking a group of stocks that would be representative of the market. And he came up with 15 stocks. And this was in the 1800s. And of course, now the Dow Jones Industrial Average has 30 stocks, and none of the 14 original ones remain. So this index gets renewed with time as new companies become the dominant and the most important and the most relevant companies. So this Dow Jones is very narrow. It only has 30. The S&P 500 index has 500 of the largest companies in the United States. And it's my favorite. The NASDAQ Composite has 100 shares, 100 companies, and mostly concentrated on high technology, which is the growth engine of our economy today. So these are indexes. So how can you invest in an index, which is something that is something created by a newspaper? Well, they came up with index mutual funds. These were mutual funds that would buy and mirror what the index would do. And Vanguard started with the low-fee S&P 500 index mutual fund, which is very popular. It's probably the most popular mutual fund index that there is. The problem with mutual funds is that you need to buy them only at the close of business. You can decide to buy it during the day, but then they don't sell it to you until the day is over and they can tally the index. So they came up with the exchange traded fund, which is something similar to the mutual fund, but it trades like a stock trades every day, every minute of the day. It goes up and down, so you can buy it and sell it within the day if you wanted to do that. And there's options that you can issue against your index. And so the ETF for the Standard & Poor's 500 is the SPY.
Oh, wow.
And so then for the Dow Jones is DIA, and for the NASDAQ is the QQQ. So this is the way that an ordinary person can have access to an index, which is a way of investing that is diversified, so that you don't focus all your eggs in just one company. So every company that trades in the market had the first day of trading, which was their initial public offering. And so companies like Microsoft, they went public in the 1970s, late 70s, early 80s. Facebook was much more recent. It went public in the 1990s, I believe. So all of these companies grew very, very fast. And like Apostle Rojas says, made a lot of people that invested early very, very rich.
Sounds good. Thank you very, very much, William. Okay, just a simple question to the both of you. Okay, because we have a lot of people that's weighing in tonight, and they may want to know if they want to invest in something like a SMP. Where do they go? How do they go about it? Do they call up, make a phone call? Do they go on the computer? Do they go to the bank? Do they speak in tongues? How do they go about it? Tell us, please.
Go ahead, William. You could.
Okay. Historically, you needed to open an account with a full service broker dealer such as Merrill Lynch or Peter Peabody or Lehman Brothers Some of these are no longer around, but these companies would charge you a commission to buy the stocks for you. You would have to open an account with them and fill out the paperwork, and they would have to know who you are, how much experience do you have, how much money you make. And it was a difficult process to go through, because you needed to talk to somebody on the phone in order to do your transactions. Now, with the advent of technology and the internet, more user-friendly options have emerged, particularly with discount brokers. These are brokers that charge you less of a commission, and sometimes no commission at all, such as Robinhood and Charles Schwab and Fidelity and some others. These companies you can access them through the internet, and you can open an account over the phone with them. And they, of course, require some documentation, because they need to know who their customers are to avoid money laundering and other things that require their regulations or their regulators. So I would say that for the average person, the easiest way to participate in the stock market is to, if their employer has a 401k, to ask to join the 401k, and then search out within the investment selections of the 401k program, a mutual fund that invests in the S&P 500 or in large cap US companies.
Okay, sounds good. Apostle, would you like to add something to that?
Yeah. One of the things, William, slight thing. Facebook went public more recently in 2012. Mm-hmm. When they went public, we mean they become an IPO, and people can buy, the public can buy into it. And when they went public, they was trading at $38 a share. Today, the market close, Facebook is trading for, I think, $312 or $310 a share. So if you had bought $1,000 into Facebook, do the math. So that's what I'm saying. You catch a stock in the early days. I'm telling you, Tesla have made millionaires as I speak. Tesla has made millionaires. So look, you got to get in the game. You got to be in it to win it. If you're not investing, I mean, you losing out. And again, like I said, you don't have to be a whiz or have a degree in finance. As William says, you throw your money in an index fund and you give it time, and it's going to grow. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, this time we'll be asking Dr. Heather to ask her questions, and then the panel can just weigh on in. Dr. Heather.
Well, God bless you, everyone. This is such a necessary conversation. Good evening to you, Bishop Scott, and the esteemed panel, and also William. Thank you for coming on. So I think at this point, for us, as far as investing, it's a no-brainer. I think that we should invest. However, I do think as a regular everyday person and a novice to something like this, I have a few questions. I don't know who wants to address. I have quite a few, but I will try and keep it brief. Is this a good time to invest in stocks? Is right now a good time to invest? And if so, how much risk should I be willing to take? And should I make goals for myself regarding my investments? Should I sit and weigh the risk as far as what I'm willing to lose? And based on what I've learned so far, I realize that our mindset has to be long-term, but what are the risks as far as a stock going down to zero? And how can I manage my portfolio in a way that even if one of the companies goes down to zero, I will still be okay? And what should my long-term investment be as far as my investment time frame? Should there be a time frame. So that's quite a few questions, but I know that's a lot, but yeah.
Well, Dr. Heather, you have asked so many loaded questions in that one question.
So many.
Now, there's risk in life.
Right.
Jesus told Peter, launch out in the deep,
That's right.
let down his net for a draw.
Right.
Now, in the shallow, anybody could fish in the shallow.
Right.
But to go in the deep, I show in the deep is more risk. Let's be real.
Right.
I get on a plane to go to Africa, there's an element of risk. I get on my car, there's an element of risk. So they are calculated risks, and they are risks that are very reckless or dangerous, I may say. For example, I'm 61. I'm not doing no wheelies. I'm sorry. I'm talking about getting on a motorbike and doing wheelies.
Right.
I'm telling you what I'm not doing. I'm not doing no rock climbing. You could be adventurous. I'm not doing no scuba diving and skydiving. That's me. I'm just saying there's a level of risk tolerance. And so there's always a sense of risk. There's risk in Forex, there's risk in Bitcoin, there's risk in the stock market, but you can take some safe risk.
Okay.
If I may use the term safe risk. Now,
Right.
You ask the question, is this the right time to buy? Yes, with a capital Y.
Okay.
Last week, when the market was down and the NASDAQ was down and people were complaining and whining, it was the best time to jump in. You buy on the discount. Hey, we wait for Labor Day sale. And we go to Macy's and get 50% off. When the stock is down, you buy at a discount.
Okay.
So I loaded up on some more stocks. And I tell you why now is a good time to buy. I'll tell you why. Well, history says that the stock market goes up on an average 10% every year. Some years more, some years less. Okay. But the thing about it is that getting in now in value stocks, let me break that down. What's value stocks?
Okay.
Like stocks that was hurting during the pandemic, when the market crashed in last year of March. So we have what you call airlines, cruise lines, restaurant, hotel, casinos, movie houses, sports arenas. They are opening back up because of the vaccine. And also, don't forget the stimulus.
Mm.
Yes.
So I think now is a good time to get in. Do you know Carnival was going in March for $7.80 a share?
Wow.
So if you had bought 1,000 shares, right now Carnival is trading for about $28 a share. I'm just saying, and they ain't cruise yet. They ain't leave the port yet. All right. The Marriott Hotel, the price of that stock has doubled because nobody was in hotel. So is it the right time to buy? Yes, there is.
Yes. Okay.
Number two, if you don't have experience in buying, you say, I'm not a financial guy. I don't know what to buy. I'm confused. Should I buy the cheap ones, the expensive one? I don't know what to buy. I promise you, and William, this is his favorite. You get in the S&P or the QQQ, which is the NASDAQ, or the Diamond, DIA, which is the Dow, and you just buy quarter of a share, half a share. Do you know, since I met William, what I did, I bought one share of the S&P and I bought one share of the QQQ. And what I'm doing, I'm putting $50 every bi-weekly, every 2 weeks. So for the year, I will be putting $2,600. 10 years by 26 is 26,000. When you add the dividend and you add the growth, that 26,000 could turn into 50,000. Wow. Simple. I don't have no clue what I'm doing. I know nothing about the market. I just do that and you'll be all right. Because with penny stocks, you have to be careful.
Mm.
Toys R Us is not in business anymore.
Mm.
Blockbuster is not in business anymore.
Mm.
Very rare does a company go under. Also, you could buy in good, solid companies. Microsoft. The big five is Microsoft, Facebook, Google, Amazon, and what's the next one? Apple.
Apple, yeah.
Those are trillion-dollar companies. They are in the profit right now. You buy in that and you leave it. Come back and see it 5 years later. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, that's how you can invest if you doesn't know anything about the market. William.
Certainly. Apostle Rojas has it hitting it on the nail. And let me just say about the best time to invest. The best time, there's no time like the present. And, one of the biggest mistakes that investors do all the time, and I have done this mistake myself many times, is that people think that they know when the prices are going to move in one particular direction. And this is called timing the market. You try to time it so that you buy when it's going up or you sell when it's going down. And it's very, very hard to do. So there's a saying in the industry that says time in the market is better than trying to time the market. It's a play on words. So if you have a lot of money, it's not wise to put it all at once in one particular moment, because since you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, prices may come down a little bit and you might get disappointed when you have paper losses. And so to avoid that, it's best to put your money in gradually. Ideally, if you're young and your work is starting to work, you can save a little bit and invest, like Apostle Rojas says, $100, $200 a month. That will be, if you put $200 a month, that will be $2,400 in 1 year. And if you put it, and this is very important, you need to put it in an index fund so that you're plenty diversified and you don't put all your eggs in the same basket, such as it might have been Toys R Us. Imagine, God forbid, the company went out of business, you would have lost all your money. But Toys R Us was part, when it was a big and powerful company, it was part of the S&P 500 index. And so individual stocks can disappoint, but the companies as a group are likely to do well because the country does well, the country grows and moves forward. And so that's the way to manage the risk of having a stock going to zero. You diversify among many, and 500 of the biggest one is plenty.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, questions?
Yeah, real quick. Will, again, thank you so much for joining us, for coming on. Apostle, we love you. You're the best. Couple of questions real quick. Apostle, you're a man of God, you're a man of faith, you're a preacher. What would you say to those who will say, oh, as a preacher, as a pastor, you're not supposed to be involved in this? You know, you're called to preach the word, you're a man of God, you're a man of the cloth. What do you say to somebody that will say that to you? Number one, real quick. Number two, is there a way to calculate your risk tolerance relative to investing?
Okay, good question, Bishop. That's a good softball there. because watch this. People's mindset has to be broken. They say you could take the monkey out of the bush, but you can't take the bush out of the monkey. You know, so mindset needs to be broken. I remember we was putting some tiles in the church, and I was helping them put on the tiles. There's something called tin set. That tile will outlast you because it's set. It's set. So when minds are set, because I'm doing a YouTube channel, and I'm not coming with a collar, a suit and tie, I come with a regular t-shirt. And I talk about money. It's the second most mentioned subject in the Bible. Jesus told Peter, catch a fish, open the mouth, you'll get a coin, pay your taxes. I mean, money is very important. The Bible said money answers all things. I could quote scriptures upon scriptures upon scriptures. And the most powerful thing is Jesus gave a parable where two men invested, and the one who saved wasn't even commended. Jesus gave that parable. So me talking about money, we all need it. Somebody says right up there with oxygen. It will depend what you drive, how you eat, how you wear, where you live, how you live.
Yes.
Money answers all things the Bible says. So for example, I'm doing a YouTube channel. That's how I met Will. Now it's okay if a pastor is a real estate broker. Fine. He sells car. Fine. He's a plumber. Fine. He's a roofer. Fine. If he's a YouTuber is a new job now. The top YouTubers make $20 million a year. Now, in order for me to be monetized, I've got to have 1,000 subscribers. I only have 318. So please subscribe to financial empowerment, smash the like and leave a comment in the comment section below. All right, I'm just kidding. But seriously, you got to have 1,000 subscribers and 400 view hours. And I and Will are fighting up with these young people. He got 400 and something subscribers. He got his 4,000 hours already. And I just got 300 hours because I only made how much videos? 25 videos. He has over 100 videos. My point is, Bishop, it's people will criticize you and say, oh, you talk about money. Why don't you talk about faith? But money is in the Bible. Jesus talked about it. The Bible talks about it. And Solomon, Queen of Sheba, Abraham, Job, these were not poor people. Amen. You can't give what you don't have. We need money for the kingdom.
Yes, sir.
And
so what we're talking about, don't talk about money. What do you want us to talk about? And you're saying don't talk about money. Pastor Mackenzie, we were on early. You guys want to buy a building. It will cost you money. You can tell the bank we are nice people, we are faith people. They want to see them. Show me the money.
Amen to that.
So come on, man. We need money for keyboard. We need money for microphone. We need money for cameras. We need money to pay the pastor. Money answers all things. Above all, brethren, I wish you prosper and be in good health. And I could go on and talk about it, but I'm saying that's my thing. And yet some people will criticize me and say, oh, Apostle is talking about money now. He ain't talking about the blood. He ain't talking about... We've been through the deeper life. We've been through the seminars. We've been through the things. Come on, man. What is it to be deep and broke? So I said enough. So that's the first question. And the second question is about risk. I says, again, if you don't know what you're doing, just go in a safe fund, like an ETF. An ETF. All right, there's 11 sectors in the market. Every sector has an ETFs, whether it's utility, whether it's tech, whether it's industry, whether it's material, whether it's consumer discretionary. There's 11 sectors in all of the market. And you could take an ETF, which has about a lot of companies in there, and invest in it. Whereas just guessing a penny stock because it's cheap. And Dr. Heather asked a question, and I'm going to just answer this and close there. You talk about how late, it depends on your age in life. Like when I was young, I invested in the 401k, and I lost half my money in 2008 when the market crashed with the housing. And guess what? I retired in 2015, and I got back every penny, and it tripled. Let me just say one more thing before I close. Please, people, if you're on the line, get in your 401k. It's tax deferred. In other words, before you get that $1,000, you put 10%. Now they tax you on $900. I promise you, you are not disciplined to save that money on your own. And when you put that money away, the money makes money for you. And by the time you leave work 20 years later, you have $400,000 or $500,000, man. You got to. And what some companies do, they matched it. It's a no-brainer. Please do this now, and later you will not regret.
Okay, William?
Yes, I wanted to echo Apostle Rojas' comments about money. And, you know, every time you hear about somebody doing well and prospering in life, they say he's been blessed, right, by God. And
Amen.
You know, money does so much good. It can do good for the family, for education, for even support of charities. The problem with money, as the Bible says, is the love of money that is the problem. It's not the money itself. The money can be used to do good things. It can be used to do bad things.
Yes.
But certainly money can generate bad emotions such as greed or envy. But by and large, the pursuit of money for to become better is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing to try to become financially independent and to have a financially secure retirement.
Amen.
So,
okay, questions?
All right, I have a couple questions. First and foremost, again, to Dr. Scott, God bless you, man of God. Amen. Dr. Phil, to the panel, God bless each and every one of you. To William, our special guest, God bless you as well. I have a bunch of questions, but I'm only going to ask two. I promise you, just two. So the first one, you mentioned this term Robin Hood, and the last time we were on, I was telling you that Robin Hood is it's a new concept to a lot of people. The only Robin Hood we know is the one from the TV show. And so when it comes to Robinhood, how would you speak, especially Apostle Rojas, to our people about overcoming the fear of technology in order to invest? Because a lot of folks are saying, I'm too old for this. There's a lot of folks that's looking at this like Sarah. You know, when Sarah got the prophecy, she laughed. So a lot of folks are looking at this like, I'm not doing this. So how would you speak to those people that think that this is impossible? And then the next question, back to the penny stocks. So, you know, the penny stocks is something that I wanted to really talk about tonight, because my dad keeps getting emails from this company, penny stocks. And we're thinking about doing it for my son, who is 13. Obviously, he's at that age where college is right around the corner. And for us parents, listen, we have to start thinking about our children, because by the time you blink 3 times, it's time for college. So we have to think about that. So what are your thoughts on penny stocks? Is it a good idea? If it's not a good idea, what are the better options?
Okay, I will answer the first question, and I'll let William answer the second one. Pastor Mackenzie, like William says earlier on, you had to go downtown, make a phone call, ask a bunch of questions. You had to be qualified. It's kind of like voter suppression. They make it hard for you. But with these new apps, Robinhood, Webull, Stash, M1 Finance, Acorn, and the list goes on, I think it's Jarul says you could trade from your pocket. You know the rapper Jarul? You see, man, with Robinhood, you could trade from your pocket, right on your cell phone. So that's a beautiful thing. And guess what? The world is going technology. I tell people the world is not going analog. They're not going back to the age of the dinosaur. Forget about it. You know, when I was young growing up, I kick a ball in the yard, growing up in the islands. My grandkids are 2 years old. They're pressing the iPad. This is the generation that we are dealing with.
Oh, yeah.
So I had this guy, he saw one of my channel and he says, Pastor Ross, I want to invest. And no shame to his game, he said he had $50. And I commended him. He was about older than me. But he didn't know how to download Robinhood for nothing. He had to call his granddaughter. In 2 tools, she did it. So the older generation, because for me, let me tell you something. For me, doing a YouTube channel, you don't know how far I came from. Hey, you better give me a subscribe tonight. I did not know how to do a Facebook Live. Came on one Sunday morning upside down. I mean, seriously. And for me now, that's why learning is so powerful. This month is Financial Literacy Month. Learning, because you can't be too old to learn. Joshua, Caleb said at 85, give me my mountain. This is my inheritance. I make a demand. I want it. So we could sit back and say it's too complex, it's too complicated. So Robinhood is simple. 17 million millennials use Robinhood. And by the way, Robinhood is about to go public. You know what's public, right? IPO, where you could buy into the stocks. And believe you me, I am buying Robinhood. And Robinhood is like Facebook. People want to leave it. They hate it, but they can't leave it. I mean, you try to invite somebody to Robinhood app. Oh, I got the app already. It's everywhere. So what I'm saying, Pastor Mackenzie, it's very simple. You go to Robinhood and you download. If you feel like you don't know about computers, ask your daughter, ask your grandkids. They know how to do this thing in 5 minutes. And very simple. You can make a trade. You can sell a stock.
Apostle, if you were to take a guess, what do you think Robinhood would go for?
Good. I like Willie say, I don't know. I don't know how much they could go, whether they're going to go for like these recently this company went public, DoorDash, Airbnb. You know, Airbnb is giving the hotels a lot of pressure now. So you buy early in these companies and you could hit it to the moon. So I don't know what Robinhood, I'm not sure if they're going to go for, like Facebook went for $38. Do you know Tesla went for $17 when they went public, a share? So I don't know how much Robinhood is going to go for, but I'm buying. Oh, yes, I am.
Amen.
Yeah.
William,
you could answer the second question.
Yes, a word about penny stocks before going into the second question. You know, the exchanges have requirements for listing securities. And one of the requirements is that the price of the security has to be higher than a minimum level. I think it's $5, but it could be $1. So if the price goes below the minimum, then the security gets listed. And then what happens is they go into the pink sheets, they call it. and those are called penny stocks. Now, these stocks are not very good because they're not as liquid as the ones that are traded in the normal exchanges.
Mhm.
And the brokers that focus on penny stocks, they are high pressure salespeople, and because they make a big commission, they make a big profit every time they make a sale because it's very difficult to do. And if you watch movies like Boiler Room with Ben Affleck, or The Wolf of Wall Street with Leonardo DiCaprio, they talk about the penny stocks, and they say, well, rich people don't buy penny stocks. They're too smart for it, you know? And so I have never bought a penny stock in my life, and I have been investing for over 30 or 40 years. And why would you buy a second-rate company when you can buy the best and the most bright and the most profitable companies in the country when you buy the S&P 500 index? So it's a no-brainer to me. And certainly, the salespeople that peddle penny stocks are very persistent, and they have to make a living, and so they try to get unsuspecting people and push those bad investments on them just to get their money. So
Like
Okay.
Pastor Mackenzie, may I add to that?
Mhm.
Why people buy penny stocks? Because it's cheap.
Yeah.
I rather buy quality than cheap. And I've done that before. I bought cheap, and I had to buy it 3-4 times because it was cheap.
Yeah.
You buy quality, man, it will last you. It fits you better. It feels better. You know, cheap suits, man, you could tell me a suit is cheap. You know what I mean? you know, the way it fits you, the way it hang on you. I mean, you could see quality from a distance. So what I'm saying is, sometimes we are struggling in our mindset. We grow up in the islands. We grow up poverty mentality. And so we're looking for the cheapest stock to buy. But that's a big mistake. If you don't have enough, buy a fraction of a share.
Yes. Apostle Rojas, it's like comparing a Rolex to a Timex. They're
Come on.
both X's, but different in quality. Okay, let me just ask a simple question here. What are some of the questions that we should ask before buying a stock? What are some of the questions that we should ask ourselves before buying a stock?
Go
well,
ahead, William.
let me take a crack at it.
Mhm.
If you are a professional investor,
Mhm.
and you do financial analysis on companies, the first thing you should ask yourself is, how much earnings is that company going to produce? And in order to find out or understand how much earnings a company can do, you have to look at the competition, you have to look at the company's products and see if they're valuable and if they're different and they have a competitive advantage. Certainly, the most unique products have the biggest margins. And so, whenever you have a profitable business, competition jumps in to participate on that. So if you have, a pharmaceutical company that has patents and things, that helps. But there's a lot of factors involved in that, and not all financial analysts understand all the businesses out there or all the industries. So you have to know where your circle of competence is for you to be able to predict with a certain degree of accuracy how much money will a company earn. And so when you're comfortable knowing what the earnings are, you have to project them into the future. And if the company is growing its sales or revenues, likely the profits are going to grow as well. So if a company's profits grow in the future, it is likely that the stock price will rise in the future as well. So, but that's a professional investor doing that. The good news is that not everybody has to worry about these things, because if you just buy an index, you're likely to do very, very well, and you don't have to worry about any of that. So if you're just buying the index on a monthly basis, $100 a month, then what you need to ask yourself is, can I afford the $100 a month? And what are your priorities in your spending? And then devote some money to saving for your retirement. And you have to do this as early as possible. Like, for example, when you're in your 20s, it's the first thing you do. You save for your retirement, which is very far away, but it's not really, because in 50 years, retirement is going to come. And if you don't prepare for it, then you're not going to have the $2.9 million that I was talking about before, by just putting $170 every month into the S&P 500 index. So you can decide to save for a down payment on a house. You can decide to save for a vacation, or to get married, or for many other worthy purposes. But saving a little bit of money for retirement early pays a lot of dividends in the future.
Okay. Apostle, like to weigh in?
Yeah. One of the things that I did, Bishop Scott, when I had a IRA and different investments, but I did individual stocks for the first time when the market crashed during the pandemic. And what I did, and I thank God for the wisdom, what I did, I bought quality stocks. I will take quality any day, or establishment. Have you ever tried to get a company to come and do something at your house or whatever? They might be a little expensive, but they establish, they license, they give a warranty. You get a guy that's hustling from Home Depot, you might not see him next month. I understand what I'm saying. Yeah. That's like penny stocks. So I rather go with Apple, Google, Microsoft. It's wisdom. I'm going with the big companies, man. I'm going with the established guys. Some people come to town, they say, you know what, I'm going to CCC or Brooklyn Tabernacle. I'm not dealing with them small churches. Too much confusion. I'm just making a point. People want something that is established. You're going with an airline, I want to go with Delta, American Airline. They established, they have a track record. So in buying a stock, go with the established companies. That's not the only reason, because they said two things you must do is do the fundamental analysis and the technical analysis. And even I don't understand a company fully. The PE and the ESP and what's their cap and what's their debt and what's their projection before they make a profit. Are they in? There's so much things to analyze. You know what I did? I'm gonna say this quickly and close. William, I had an account with Pershing, how they say the Pershing, yeah. Pershing. Yeah, and I was paying him, hear this, I'm gonna say this quick. I was paying him, that's why thank God for financial literacy. I was paying him 2% to manage my funds. Now 2% on 100,000 is $2,000 a year. You get me? I was gonna do that investment for 10 years. 10 by 2,000 is what? 20,000. That 20,000, I didn't check now, the interest and the compound, that 20,000 could end up to be 35,000. Not because it's 2,000 a year and it works up to how much, 100 a month. You say, let them do it. So I end up, the guy in the bank, we start talking. He says, wow. He says, why don't you do a DIY? Do it yourself. So you know what I did? I transferred the money and I'm going to manage it myself. And that 10,000 that I was going to give them for 10 years, they're not getting it. So thank God. No, I'm not telling somebody who doesn't know nothing to just take the money and do craziness with it. I'm going to just transfer it and probably leave it the same way it is. Because they were the expert, they were the professional. They bought this, they bought that. It was really doing good. So now I'm not paying that fees no more. Fees can add up to thousands and tens of thousands of dollars.
And let me echo what Apostle Rojas is saying. And that example that I said before, $170 a month, $2,000 a year, over 50 years is 100,000 invested. I said, if you put it in the S&P 500 at 10%, that grows to 2.9 million. Now, suppose you invested the same amount of money, but instead of 10%, you get 8% because somebody else is charging 2% fees, well, your money will grow, but it would grow to only 1.3 million in 50 years instead of 2.9. So that additional exponential growth you don't get if you pay somebody those high fees. So it's very costly.
Okay. Questions, people? Questions?
I just want to give a testimonial of one of my son's friends. So I want to say this for encouragement for anyone who's on the line, who's skeptical, you still don't know what you're doing. It's great. First of all, I have to say thank God for Dr. Phil, Evangelist Philip Reed, for even coming up with this platform, for even having this conversation. Something close to home, someone close to home, after we started having this conversation, one of my son's friends came by. And this was a few months ago before we had the conversation. And he's talking to my son about investing. And my son kept saying, Mom, you know, that's my friend, that's a millionaire. Long story short, this young man is 23 years old. He's 23 years old. He has $3 million. His parents gave him $10,000 for his college fund. When it was time for him to go to college, he went to the local community college with my son, and they gave him $10,000. Rather than him using the $10,000 for college, he went ahead to college, he filed for financial aid, and he took loans out for whatever else was left that he had to pay. And he put the $10,000 in the stock market. It is 5 years later, and this young man, he's the sweetest, most humble young man you would ever want to meet. He is now a millionaire, and he's worth $3 million. He put the money in the stock market, and he took the time. Now, of course, we have Robinhood, so we don't even have to do this. But when he first started, because we had that conversation, he said, Robinhood is doing all the work for you. So when he first started, he wasn't familiar with Robinhood. So he just started looking up companies on the internet and saying, okay, I'll put 1,000 here. I'll put 1,000 there. I'll put 500 here. I'll put another 1,000 there. And over time, within 5 years, this young man, this is someone I know personally, this young man now has $3 million. And he is set for life. He paid off his parents' house. He's doing well. And I'm in awe of what the possibilities are. These millennials right now, they have something we don't have as the older generation. They're not even worried about risk. They're like, listen, I want to make money. And so if your mindset is, I'm going to make money, we have to think differently if we want to have the edge. If we want to make that money too, we have to be so hungry to have a desire to leave something for our children, our grandchildren, leave a legacy, leave an inheritance, that we have to be determined to say, you know what, I'm going to do this. However, I have to learn, I'm going to get the skills, and I'm going to do it. Listen, I'm not going to let a 23-year-old outsmart me. We've got to get on board. And we've got to learn what Apostle Rojas and William Bermudez is teaching us, and we've got to get on board and make some money.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Question.
But I'll tell you something. I bet you, Dr. Head, I bet you that guy did options.
Yes.
Because options can really, I mean, you could lose money too, but if you know what you're doing, I like long options. And like William is more conservative. I'm more the aggressive one. William will die with the S&P. He will die on the sword when it comes to the index. But but options, man. I don't know if you saw it on the internet. A 13-year-old made an option call on Tesla, and he made $78,000 on one call.
Wow.
Yes.
And guess how much he put in? $2,000.
Now explain that. What is an option? Explain that.
Oh, geez. Tonight, I don't know if you could get the time to. It's kind of complex. It's complex. But you could buy. Oh gosh, William. I know what it is, but it's so hard to explain to someone who doesn't know options. Is like, all right, where do I start? All right, in options, we have in the money, at the money, out of the money. Now I probably lost you already, but let's say all right, I go into a contract and I say, this house, I'm going to buy this house for $200,000.
Okay.
And I'm paying down and I'm locking it in. So now the house appreciates and the house go to 800,000. But guess how much I paid for it? 200,000. So in 3 years' time, I'm selling it for 800,000 and I'm putting 600,000 in my pocket. That's somewhat like options.
Okay.
So I am buying, let's say I buy the QQQ, which William loved. I bought the QQQ. It will expire in 2022 January. I'm up about 40%, and I pay for that one contract, $3,500. I have till January 22, and the way the NASDAQ is doing, it's possible now I can turn that $3,500 into $10,000.
Wow.
Is it possible to also lose that 3,500?
Yes, it's possible, but guess what? The QQQ has the 100 top tech companies. I am very doubtful that the 100 tech companies like Apple, Facebook, Google will go under.
So QQQ is not just one tech company.
No, it's 100 companies in there. Gotcha. 100 tech companies. One company can go south. Bad news, the CEO, a scandal, somebody was doing inside trading. But how somebody could do inside trading on a QQQ? That's 100 companies that are the top tech companies. So I took my chances with them.
Are you buying into the 100 companies, not just
yes.
one or two? Got you. So one fails, you got 99 to.
There you go. You got 99.
That sounds like a sure bet.
So is it possible to do options on Robinhood? And if so, how does that work?
Oh, you do option in any stock.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah, any stock. But I'm not going to do, and you could bet that the stock is going to go down too. That's a put. When you're doing a call, the stock is going to go up.
Okay.
But I like calls, William like puts. But I know the stock market is going to go up eventually. William, can you explain options in a nutshell?
Dr. Francis, thank you for the inspiring story. It's certainly an extraordinary result for that young man. And very few people can replicate that performance, $10,000 to $3 million. But the thing I like best about your story is the good that he did with the money. He paid off his parents' home. I mean, these are things that you can do with money. And so money is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. And it provides the security for him. And most of all, it provides the security that he knows that he can make money by investing in the stock market, using options or using index or investing however he did it. Certainly an option is a contract that gives the holder the option, but not the obligation to buy or sell something. And for that right, he has to pay a premium. And like Lucien says, having an option to buy a house is a good example. Certainly houses don't trade in the market every day, but the concept is there. Like, for example, if you pay $5,000 to have the option to close on a house for $200,000, and you have 3 months to do it, and in those 3 months, the house could appreciate in value. And so somebody might buy the option from you, or you could buy the house and immediately resell it. And so you can profit by buying the option. You also run the risk that something happens and the house drops in value. And so you wouldn't buy the house at the price that the option gave you the right to do it, but you could, because you could buy it at a lower price from the seller if something happened, for example, on the street or in the neighborhood or something. And so that's in a nutshell what options are. But the good news is that for beginner investors, for regular guys, you don't need to do options to do very well investing in the stock market. You could just buy every month the index and you're going to do well.
So, a quick question: how would one go about investing in the QQQ?
Well, after you have an account open with Robinhood, you just type the word QQQ buy, and then you send them money. That's
That easy.
That's so
can't be any more simpler than that.
Okay.
I've done it in the past 2 weeks, man. It's wonderful.
yeah.
So, very quick comment and then quick question. I know time is running out. Based on what Dr. Heather said, powerful story. Now, there's a scripture that says that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind, right? I really hope that this is really touching somebody's heart, because when you look at power, a part of power is to be financially stable, to be financially sound. And a man that does not have money, that's not financially sound, that power is taken away from you, because you can't even walk into your own house freely, because you're either hiding from the landlord or you're hiding from the bank, because you know you don't have the money to pay them. So for everybody that's watching tonight, please invest. My quick question, very quick question. What are your thoughts on bonds? What are your thoughts on bonds? My father was big on bonds when I was growing up. I never understood them. I just looked at them as a piece of paper I couldn't spend. So what are your thoughts on bonds?
Go ahead, William. William is good on that.
Well, bonds are debt instruments that companies issue, and they agree to pay the holder interest during the period of the bond. For example, the U.S. government issues 10-year bonds and 30-year bonds and bonds of different denominations. But let's look at the 10-year U.S. Treasury bond. It pays around 1% now, maybe a little bit more. Let's assume it's 1%. So if you hold the bond for 10 years, it will pay you 1% every year. So that's 10% of your principal in 10 years. Imagine if you had the same amount of money invested in the stock market, in the S&P 500 index, and it paid you 10% every year. Now in 10 years, because of the compounding, you would have more than 100%. You would have like 150% of your money. Rather than a fraction, you get a multiple by investing in equities, as they call it in the index. So bonds are okay to have if you need to invest for a certain amount of time and you need to have access to the money on a schedule, such as you would after you're retired, for example. You can put a portion of your money or your portfolio in bonds so that when the bonds mature, you use the money and you withdraw it. But the growth comes from the equity side of your portfolio, the amount of money you invest in the stock index. Certainly, somebody that is saving for their retirement in their 20s should never, ever invest in bonds while they're accumulating money for their retirement.
Thank you.
Okay. Questions? Well, let me ask a question then, okay? A simple question. Okay, William, what are some of the things that we should do before we proceed to go into investing? Should we have like a separate fund just in case? Or what? Or put everything in?
I think the first thing you should do is start investing today. There's no need to have, all your debts paid off. There's no need for you to save an emergency fund, like a lot of people say. Oh, you gotta save six months of your expenses in a checking account. That's not true, because whatever you invest in your stocks, you can use if you have an emergency. So start investing early so that you can compound that money over time.
I think your dog is upset that you were explaining all these things to us. And to me, it sounds like a she dog. Okay, well, oh, I thought so. I thought so, definitely. Okay, well, certainly, ladies and gentlemen, we have heard a lot. Just want to thank the apostle, Lucien Rojas, and also William Bermudez for weighing in. And let me say something to the both of you. Have you both ever thought about Rojas' investment guide or William Bermudez investment guide? Doing an investment guide, because you guys seem to have the knowledge, and there are people sometimes that would like to do these things, but they don't have a guide.
We certainly started these YouTube channels to educate people, and mine is Finance ABCs, trying to get the basics out there. And I wrote a book about how to saving for retirement made easy. It's available on Amazon, and I sell it for the lowest possible price that Amazon allows. It's $3. They wouldn't let it be lower. It's not a very large book. It's only about 50 pages long, but it condenses my thinking on saving for retirement. And essentially, you don't need to buy the book if you just grasp the concept that stock prices go up over time. They don't go up and down and stay the same. Stock prices as a group, the index, it goes, certainly there's volatility along the way, but in 10, 15, 20 years, prices should be rising. And so if you have that concept, you don't need to buy the book, because that is a very powerful concept. And Apostle Rojas has his own channel, Financial Empowerment with Brother Rowe. And I think it's very, very refreshing the way he explains things. It's very clear to me what he does. It's wonderful, and he's done a very good job of connecting to people, and he's garnered a lot of subscribers in the very short 3 months that he's been doing his channel. I have been with the channel for 10 months, and I'm a little bit ahead of him. But if he keeps with the trajectory he has, he's going to overtake me in 10 months. He's going to have, his 1,000 subscribers for sure. I'm a little bit behind. I only have like 460 now. And so I have some ways to go. But hopefully we can reach a lot of people, and we can educate a lot of people with our channel. And if you have questions, you can shoot him a comment on any video that he makes, and or in any video of mine, and we will be happy to address any questions that are out there.
Thank you very, very much, sir. I just want to thank God for the apostle and for you, William, for weighing in tonight. The questions were answered, and we thank God for your knowledge. We're about to close because time is really of the essence, but we've heard a lot and we have said a lot. A woman of God, Dr. Heather Francis, what should we take away from what we've heard and said tonight?
Well, I would encourage everyone on the line, especially for those of us over 50. I looked into Warren Buffett's life, and Warren Buffett started off by investing $6,000, and he diversified his investing because he invested in farmland, he invested in companies, and he is 90 years old. He is now worth $73 billion. And here's two quotes from Warren Buffett. He said, "If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die." He also said, by periodically investing in an index fund, the know-nothing investors like you and I can actually outperform most investment professionals. Take that to the bank and smoke it.
Thank you much. I definitely will. I need a cigar right now. Okay, Bishop Neville Wolliston, so what should we take away from this conversation tonight?
Unmute.
Very simply for me, Bishop, we need much, 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 much more of this.
Thank you much. Okay, Pastor Richard McKenzie, man of God.
Simple as well. Let go of the fear. You're not too young. You're not too old. Simply invest.
Invest. Apostle Lucien Rojas.
This is beautiful. I'm loving this, and it's just an awesome platform, and it's just an awesome thing to invest. I mean, gosh, I wish I could shake those young people and tell them you see, because when you have strength, you feel you could run through a troop and leap over a wall.
Yes, sir.
Father time is going to get you.
It will.
And when you get an older man, you need something for retirement. It's important to invest. Invest.
Thank you much, sir. Okay, William.
I would say that there's no time like the present. And if you're not for yourself, who will be? So take charge of your own financial destiny and start investing for yourself.
Thank you very, very much, sir. I would end by saying this, that you've got to be willing to change your mindset. Some of us, we are stuck in our old ways for way, way, way too long. Okay, we want to thank God for Dr. Phil and PNBG, and we want to thank God for the panel tonight for weighing in. Thank God for the apostle and for William Bermudez. Also, upgrade your budget with Delroy Peters on April the 13th at 6 p.m. Our resident financial advisor will teach you all about how you can build your wealth. Just click on the link and attend and learn how to budget your life. Okay, that's right there in the chat. Listen, this is Bishop Scott, Bishop's Corner, saying good night, and by all means, see you next week, same time, same channel. God bless you richly. Good